Shabbat Shalom. This evening we begin with words of strength. Ozi v'zimrat yad v'hili l'Yeshua. Ozi v'zimrat yad v'hili l'Yeshua. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבת אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We're so glad to join you on this last Shabbat of October, and the Shabbat that helps us to find that peace and that rest that we so desperately crave. On this Shabbat, I'm reminded of the words in Pirkei Avot, where Hillel says, Al tivrosh min hatzibur, do not separate yourself from the community. Do not be sure of yourself until the day of your death. Do not judge your fellow until you arrive in his place. Don't say something that cannot be overheard. It will be overheard. And do not say, when I have leisure, I shall study Torah. You may never have that leisure. All of these statements that were compiled together from Hillel seem to be in some ways a little bit haphazard, a little bit of a calico or potpourri. What do they all have to do with each other? Why do they start this idea with this idea? Don't separate yourself from the community. We're taught that the Israelites, when they emerged from Egypt, were a mixed multitude, that there were Jews from different tribes, that there were Israelites that had different perspectives, different ideas. There were men, there were women, there were old, there were young, there were those who had all kinds of different ways of understanding who they were and what was their purpose. And yet they all arrived at Mount Sinai as one people. And it was when they could take that mixed multitude and turn it into a unity that they were able to speak to them the voice of the living God, to tell them what were the terms of the covenant that they needed to observe, how they should build a holy life in a holy world, in a society that would sustain them not only physically, but emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. So how do we create that sense of unity when we are in some way so polarized, when we are so separate from each other? This admonition Hillel gives us, Al tivrosh min hatzibur, don't separate yourself from the community, seems to be a laughable thing in the time of this pandemic when we are admonished by those who know best. Keep yourself apart from others. And I think that there is a sense of physical distance that is important for us to maintain in order to tamp down the spread of this virus and to preserve our physical safety. But there is a sense of connectedness to community, to our people, to our country, to our world that we cannot sever, even though we sit apart on this Shabbat evening. And that's why we are told, don't be sure of yourself until the day of your death, because each and every day is a time for discovery, a discovery of ourselves, a discovery of what we might become, a sense of discovery more about our world and our lack of knowledge of it. We are told, don't judge your fellow until you come to his place, because we are limited and bounded by our own experience. We can only see the world through these eyes. We can only live our lives in the place in which we find ourselves. And yet the experience of others is one that can inform us, that can shape us, can help to build our capacity for compassion and understanding, for tolerance and an open heart. Don't say something that cannot be overheard. Don't say things that you know will cause pain. Don't say things that you know will cause rift. Don't say things that you know will cause the other to be separate from you. And use the gift of Torah wisely, so that we might all grow in a measure of wisdom of what that unity of God's purpose can mean. I think about this on the eve of this election, a season that has led to this coming Tuesday that has been so fraught with discord, so fraught with disconnection, so riddled with animosity, so concerned with our own surety of ourselves. So how do we respond in a way that brings us a greater sense of unity? Al tifrosh min hatzibur. Do not separate yourself from community. Vote. If you have not yet cast your ballot, go to an early polling place and allow your ballot to be counted. Do not any longer put your ballot in the mail. Make sure you take it to a drop-off center so that your ballot can be counted and it will arrive there on time. And if you have not yet voted, go on election day. Go to your normal polling place. Say hi to the volunteers who are helping to preserve our democracy. And with humility and also with a sense of self, cast your ballot so that we might know the confluence of our collective wisdom in choosing our leaders. And then when election day is finished and those leaders have been selected, let us come together as community, not separate from each other, but concerned and invested and interwoven in each other's lives, so that together we may build the future that we all seek to create, guided by God's wisdom and infused with God's holiness. Shabbat Shalom. It's my pleasure this evening to invite Susan and Joel Ivers, who will lead us in the celebration of candles and Kiddush.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצבנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים.
Chaim. You see, I'm using my L'chaim Temple Beth El Kiddush cup. Cool swag when you're a member of Temple Beth El. And now take a moment as we have celebrated candles and Kiddush just to feel that rest of Shabbat come upon you and through you. We all are carrying so much stress. We're all carrying so much anguish. We're all carrying so much worry, and so much energy is delegated from our consciousness and our souls just to manage all of that stress. So just take a moment, breathe in the peace of Shabbat, allow your shoulders to come down, allow your tension to be released, and embrace God's warmth and the light of Shabbat as we welcome the ministering angels of God's presence to join with us as one community of holiness.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lochem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Sitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if you are able, please rise. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? La 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 la. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Elelai, 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 la la la, and the la la la, la 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 la, and the la la la, yeah la 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 la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chokhma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishanei itim umachalif et hazmanim umesader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or.
Umavir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzivot shmo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
It's not by accident that the same word for parent is also the same word for teacher, which is also the same word for instruction. It is this word hora, which means to instruct, which also is mora, which means a teacher. It's also Torah, which is the instruction. It is because the incredible love that is shared for us by the Holy One is shown to us through the gift of Torah. By giving us the admonishments, the commandments, the law and lore that guide us in life, God instills us and shares with us that profound and divine love.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all of your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen. Quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way, and listen, listen to our God. When the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you can hear. If you listen, listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, or from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. Close your eyes and listen. If you're able, please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam. Listen, listen to our God. Listen, listen to our God. Please be seated as we continue with the words of Ve'ahavta. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
In the Torah portion, which we read this week, parashat Lech L'cha, Abraham is asked to leave behind everything that he has been and has ever known, along with Sarah and the people that will go with him. God says, Lech L'cha, get yourself going, me'artzacha, from your land, u'mimoladetcha, and from the place of your birth, u'mibeit avicha, and from your father's house, el ha'aretz asher areka, to the place, the land that I will show you. Ve'escha legoy gadol, and I will make of you then a great nation. And then there will attend to Abraham and his descendants all manner of blessing. Think about what is being asked of Abraham at this stage in his life, to leave behind and to separate himself from all that was before. In some ways, it seems like an onerous task and burden. All right, I can move. Right? How many of you started off in Boca Raton or have migrated here recently? That's hard, but not so hard. To leave the place of your birth, a bit harder. How many of you root for the Miami Marlins or some other baseball team from whence you came? It's hard to leave that place of your birth. your father's house, all of the mores that you were instructed from the time that you were a child, all the cultural things that have attended to your person, all of the things that have contributed from the core of who you are. How do I leave all that behind? But at the same time, think about the liberation that comes from a new beginning. Think about what it felt like when you came here to meet new friends, to inhabit a new house, to seek to build life in a new place. Think about what it's like when you learn new ideas, when you are willing to comprehend new concepts, when you're willing to open your mind and your heart to ideas that perhaps you never once explored. Think about what it might mean to realize you have not all the wisdom you need, that you do not know yet all that you need to know, that there is greater understanding out there that can guide you to be what God needs you to be. Leaving behind what you once were can be terrifying, but can also lead to the freedom that will help you not simply to pass through walls of water into a wilderness, but will guide you inexorably to find your way to the promised land.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef eleh, nora Osef eleh, malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, zehlianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. V'nemar ki v'ada Adonai Yaakov u'ge'alo miyad chazak mimenu, Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and help me make this day a song of praise for you. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Oh, guide my steps and help me find my way. I need your shelter now. Rock me in your arms and guide my steps, and guide my steps, and guide my steps.
Tzfat Emet, the Hasidic master from Ger, taught that Shabbat in many ways is a weekly reminder of that admonition that Abraham heard, Lech L'cha. Because on Shabbat, we engage in a process of remembering and forgetting. We are asked to keep and to remember Shabbat, but in that process of remembering Shabbat, we are asked to forget, to leave behind all of the cares and the anguishes and the pressures of the weekday world. It is in some ways this paradoxical time when we forget all the things that mire us in the physical and remember everything that lifts us to the spiritual. Let us be reminded to keep Shabbat, to remember Shabbat, and to remember that we are meant for more than physical time. We are meant for spiritual existence and for life.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי,
וביום השביעי,
שבת וינפש,
שבת וינפש.
That was pretty good. Shabbat vayinafash. And if you're at home, sing with me. And if you're out in your backyard, sing with me. Let's all sing V'shamru. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
Our tradition teaches that we are not meant to be alone. We are meant to live in partnership, not simply in partnership with each other, though we are to be destined to create community in order to find pathways to God. But we are admonished also to find those unique pathways to build our partnerships with the Holy One. And so as we embark in moments of tefillah, let us build that sense of connection, of arrival into God's holy chambers, so that our prayers may be felt not only in our hearts, but on high. If you're able, I invite you to please rise.
Adonai, siftai tiftahu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdavot V'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayeh HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia. Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem מחכה חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You're welcome to be seated. A few days ago, a friend of mine who I knew in college texted me some kind of embarrassing photographs that the two of us had shared that she had unearthed while rummaging through some old pictures of when we were juniors in college. I looked at the image of myself at that time, and in some ways it was hard to recognize the guy in that picture as me. There was a lot more hair. It was a different color. I was a lot skinnier. And at the same time, of course, it was me. And I remember where we were when we took that picture. And I remember how much laughter we were sharing that day. And in some ways, as we journey through our lives, we remain who we are. We are what we were created to be. And yet at the same time, think about how much transformation has taken place over these last many years since you were with your closest friends, maybe from college or from camp or from wherever it is that you find that grounding place for yourself. Think about transformation has happened to you just in the last week or in the last day. In some ways, it feels like we're just static, that we're just the same from one day to the next. And yet we know that all of us are constantly on a journey. We are constantly on a journey of growth. We are constantly on a journey of exploration. We are constantly on a journey of discovering who we truly are in our most authentic expression of ourselves and what is our mission and purpose on this brief span of life that God has blessed us to live. So as we think about the individual and collective journeys we are invited to take apart and together, we pray that God will inspire us with wisdom, guide us with understanding, and fill our hearts with love and with knowledge, so that we might have a holy awareness that guides us to be all that we might choose to become. We continue in moments of silent prayer and meditation.
This next piece of music I'd like to share was written by the great late Debbie Friedman, who was inspired by this week's Torah portion, Lech L'cha, that God told Abraham to go out. Lech L'cha, to a land that I will show you. Lech L'cha, to a place you do not know. Lech L'cha, on your journey I will bless you, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. shall praise your name. Lech L'cha, to the place that I will show you. L'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, l'simchat chayim, Lech L'cha. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. And you shall be a blessing. Lech L'cha.
More than 30 years ago, Myra Singer and Wayne Barton realized that there were many needy families in our community that would never be able to afford to have a meal for Christmas or for holiday gifts. And so in their garage, Myra began with her friends an extraordinary project called the Giving Tree, where young people and their families would be invited to fill out wish lists for what they imagined would be their ultimate Christmas yearnings, and that members of our congregation who had more wherewithal would be able to fulfill those wishes. The Giving Tree has grown to be an extraordinary project where we serve more than 2,000 households. And so on this Shabbat, as we begin our annual Giving Tree project, please enjoy this wonderful message from our Giving Tree coordinators about how you can participate this year.
Hi, I'm Leslie Steinberg, co-chair of the Giving Tree of Temple Bethel. I'm here to tell you about the Giving Tree Holiday Project, one of Temple Bethel's oldest mitzvah projects, filling holiday wishes for local children, teens, and seniors in need for more than 30 years. Each recipient of Giving Tree donations is treated as if they are a member of our own family, as we strive to bring holiday cheer to many in our local community who don't even have access to some of the most basic necessities. This year, there are approximately 2,000 wishes to fill for individuals served by local social service agencies such as Best Foot Forward, JAFCO, Jewish Family Services, Guardian Ad Litem, Vita Nova, and Brothers Helping Brothers. Usually, our holiday workshop and Giving Trees are buzzing with activity. People picking wishes from the trees, dropping off donations, volunteers wrapping presents, other people organizing so that we can deliver gifts and holiday spirit to all. Unfortunately, this year, due to COVID, we're not able to gather as volunteers to help with gift wrapping, nor to deliver Christmas Eve gifts at the Wayne Barton Center. But with your continued support this year, the holiday spirit at the Giving Tree will be stronger than ever. Here are some ways that you can help. You can email us for a wish list or pick a wish list from our website. Otherwise, make a donation and we can do the shopping for you. We appreciate whatever you can do. Visit the Giving Tree website to learn more about both the holiday project and the Giving Tree year-round activities. And together, let's celebrate more than 30 years of the Giving Tree Holiday Project. As we say, together we are making a difference in our community, one life, one need, one day at a time. Thank you. And we wish you and your family a happy, healthy, safe holiday season. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Leslie, and thanks to all of the volunteers at the Giving Tree, and thank you for lending your support. You can go on their website so that you can find a way to pick a wish list or a few, and then you can do their holiday shopping and help them to fulfill the needs and the wishes of so many people who are in need, especially during these very difficult months of this pandemic and economic downturn. The Torah portion that we read this week, parashat Lech L'cha, introduces us to this man named Avram, later to be called Abraham or Avraham. Avram, we know, is the oldest of three boys of a man named Terah. There is Avram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran had a son named Lot, and what we find is that Lot's father, Haran, passes away. And so Terah gets an idea that he will journey to the land of Canaan from Ur of the Chaldees, from the southern part of Iraq, near where the Tigris and the Euphrates join together. And so he journeys up through the Fertile Crescent to a town named for his late son called Haran, which is literally at the top of that Fertile Crescent and doesn't make it all the way to Canaan. And then we find at the beginning of this week's Torah portion that God calls out to Avram and says, Lech L'cha, get yourself going, as we said. And if you go, I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, and all the families of the earth shall be blessed through you. Wow, that's a heck of an offer. And so we have to ask ourselves, why Abraham? The interesting thing is the Torah doesn't tell us anything about why Abraham would be selected for this incredibly awesome task and mission. The rabbis are befuddled by this. And so in the Midrash, we discover stories that help us to understand Abraham and his piety or his righteousness. There is the famous story that when Avram was a boy, his father Terah had an idol store. And in that idol store, there were lots and lots of different sizes clay figurines. And people would come into the store and they would say, oh, I need to buy this one, or I need to buy this one. And Avram would say, well, why? And they said, well, because it's a god. And Avram would say, I don't know what you think is so great about it. It's just a clay figurine. We made it a couple weeks ago. Anyway, the story is told that one day Terah went on a business trip and left Avram in charge of the idol shop. So Avram decided to teach his father a lesson. And he took a big wooden club and he smashed all of the idols in the idol shop, except the biggest one. And he took the club and he put it in the hands of the biggest one. His father came back and said, Avram, what happened here? What did you do? He says, I don't know. I came into this store and all the idols were smashed. It must have been the big one that did it. Terah says, Avram, don't kid me. What are you talking about? You know they're just clay figurines. They can't do this. And Avram said to his father, do your ears hear what your mouth has said? If they are just clay figurines, then why do we worship them? And so the rabbis try to imagine that somehow Avram has this intuition, has this insight that he is somehow kind of like a Superman, that he knows something, that he has an intuition, a sensitivity where God says, yeah, there's a lot of folks out there. I choose you. But the interesting thing is the Torah doesn't really tell us that. All it tells us is there was a man who was 75 years old, who had a wife named Sarai, who was raising their nephew, who could not bear children, who lived in a random town at the north of the Fertile Crescent. So why does God choose Avram? Why is it that the entirety of our people, that when you think about it, the great faiths of the word, billions of people on the planet secure their spiritual identity through this man? And the answer is, we don't know. He's just a man. He's just an average, ordinary guy. But when God said to him, Lech L'cha, he went. When God said to him, I need you to be willing to embrace an ideology that says there are not many gods, there's just the one creator of the universe, me, who seeks to have a relationship with you. that everything that you thought was right and good may or may not be, but I'm going to teach you a better ethic, a stronger morality, a morality that teaches that we need to strive for holiness, a morality that teaches that we have to love each other as ourselves, a morality that says I have to care for the vulnerable and the weak and the downtrodden and the poor and to make their needs my own, that I have to embrace an ethic that says through all of the ways in which we connect to each other, we will find pathways to connect with the source and the creator of the universe. That embedded within us is a divinity and a holiness because we are created in the image of that one God that authored all of creation. And it is because of that that each of us has been given a holy and a sacred mission to be, as Isaiah said, a light to the nations, to be a blessing, so that all of the peoples of the world will look to us by how we act, by what we say, by what we choose, by the holiness that we fashion to find their way to God. Who was Avram? Could be any of us. Could be any of us. Because each of us who is here is a descendant of that one couple, Avram and Sarai, who, when they heard that call to transform their lives for holiness, said, I'm going. I am willing. I will follow. I may not always understand. I may push and struggle. I may make terrible mistakes. I may wander off that path. But through your love, oh God, I will be what you need me to be. I will be the blessing that will point all of humanity toward you. It is because a simple, ordinary, average person responded to that call that the entire world was transformed. So imagine what it would mean if we renewed on this Shabbat our own sense of hearing that call. What if on this Shabbat we renounced everything that we had become and chose instead to follow after holiness? What if we were willing to let go of our cynicism? What if we were willing to let go of our doubt? What if we were willing to let go of our pessimism and despair and embraced an optimism, a sense of purpose, a vision of utopia that says, yes, together with you, God, I will be what you need me to be. I will be your partner in fashioning the world that we both could dream possible. You don't need to be Superman or Superwoman to be God's partner. You don't have to have had some special insight or a special call. God calls out to you in each and every moment of each and every day. The only question that remains is, will you respond? Shabbat Shalom. And so on this Shabbat, as we reach inward to discover who it is that we are, we also reach inward and outward to allow our wishes, our thoughts, our love, and our expressions of faith to meld with those who are in need of God's healing presence. We say, Mishaberach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov Imotenu Sarivka Leah v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, send your blessings of healing to those in our families, those in our community, and around the world who are in need of your special blessings of healing on this Shabbat. We add in our prayers tonight, Rabbi Stephen David Abram, Samuel Agranol, Debbie Alenkoff, Perry Bear, Fred Belkin, Barbara Bernardi, Margie Berman Block, Alex Bonder, Kathleen Bowersox, Jacob Brown, Lawrence Bullman, Roy Cohen, Lynn Edinger, Arnold Ernay, Estelle Ernay, Eileen Feinerman, Marty Fromowitz, Alice Goins, Molly Goldberg, Nate Goldberg, Jake Goldstein, Keith Hummer, Norman Kaufman, Florence Koish, Joan Kramer, Mickey Cutler, Barbara Liss, Paul Mandel, Lori Mariano, Charles Meacham, Lynn Metzger, Susan Myers, Shirley Ann Myers, Victoria Nelson, Michael Penn, Maurice Plow Jr., Menachem Plotzker, Ellen Romberg, Cynthia Romero, Melissa Rose, Eileen Rosenbaum, Alan Rosenfeld, Sharon Rubin, Ruth Moria, Bat Shoshana Miriam, the Rabbi Lord, Jonathan Sachs, Bonnie Schaefer, Linda Weingart Schulman, Brooke Schultz Edelstein, Len Sirowitz, Mickey Sirowitz, Kate Tamarkin, Jeff Wissut, Israel Yamuter, Eric Jonensen, Ryan Yusby, and Joel Ziegler. We add all those whom you include in our prayers for healing, that they may find a refuah shlema, a complete recovery, healing of body and healing of spirit, along with all those who may be ill. May healing come speedily, and let us say together, Amen.
מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. And if you are able, please rise for the Aleinu. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת כתולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Our thoughts turn now to those whom we have lost, those whose lives have left us a legacy of love and understanding, of wisdom and goodness, whose memories we cherish each and every day, and whose spirits are woven into the fabric of our family and our lives. On this Shabbat, we remember Martin Berger, Rosalie Burl, Norman Berman, Paul R. Bishens, Mordechai Bogashav, Harry Brown, Ann L. Cohen, Milton Dolgan, Max Drill, Allison Feidelman, Fritz Findler, Peter Findler, Bertha Finkel, Freda Fisher, Sophie Fromowitz, Barnett Garber, Barry Gimmelstab, Ida Goldstein, Eileen Gordon, Harry Gattiner, Donna Greenberg, Dorothy Halprin, David Heskins, Max Himmelbaum, Ida V. Cashton, Albert Katz, Bob Katzman, David Lichter, Rosalie Latinsky, Esther Lober, Daniel A. Lubovitz, William Maltz, Herman Meltzer, Jack Meyerowitz, Paul Notowitz, Elson Novak, Manfred Pepper, Deborah Pfeiffer, Janice Platt, Rosemary Plow, Alan W. Pollack, Louis Pauley, Morris Regenstreif, Joseph Rose, Wanda Salek, Evelyn Salpeter, Ernest Saunders, Samuel Schuster, Harold Schwartz, Jerry Singerman, Max Slotnick, Yvette Soloway, Victor Stone, Daisy Lewis Strass, Jack Thav, Peter Maxwell Tucker, Sally Wachtel, Edith S. Weinberg, and Jarvis Weiss. We also remember on this second yard site of those who were murdered at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Joyce Feinberg, Richard Gottfried, Rose Mallinger, Jeffrey Rabinowitz, Cecil Rosenthal, David Rosenthal, Bernice Simon, Sylvan Simon, Daniel Stein, Melvin Wax, and Irving Younger. We also add those who were laid to rest in recent days, whose memories we cherish in the 30 days of Shloshim: Harold Eichler, Eileen Eisenberg, Lisa Anrand Kistner, Joan Goldstone, Jack Wallace, Martin Kahn, Leonard Kupferman, Jerry Afromsky, Stephen Gordon, Richard Goodkin, Beverly Warheit, Angela Ramos, Pui Lang, and Annette Simner. We remember also those whom you carry in your own hearts, whose memories I know that you cherish, as together we rise and give thanks to God for the gift of life with the words of Kaddish. Together we say, Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mevorach le'olam u'amei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitale v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who mourn. And we say, Amen.
Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam, salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam.
Shabbat Shalom. Many thanks to Susan and Joel Ivers for leading us in Candles and Kiddush. A few brief announcements. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, you can join me for Torah study. The Zoom link is found on the temple's website, tbeboca.org. We hope that you will join us for Torah study. And on Sunday, November 1st, Sisterhood begins its annual latke sale. You can go to the website and find out more information on how you can order latkes for Hanukkah, which is coming up in just a month or so. Sisterhood will also be hosting on Thursday night, November the 5th, an online painting class, which sounds like an incredible amount of fun. So we hope that you'll join Sisterhood for that. Cantor Lori's Hebrew class continues. You can always jump in and learn Hebrew, even if you've never started before. And there are many more opportunities to engage on the temple's website. Lastly, we invite you and remind you, please, please, please vote. Make sure you do not separate yourself from the community. If you have a mail-in ballot, don't mail it anymore. Bring it to one of the drop-off stations at the polling places so that your ballot can be counted. Or you can go on election day. A lot of times people forget, actually, you can vote on election day. Go to your polling place, cast your ballot, make your voice heard. And then next Friday, join us for a spirit of unity and healing as we begin to move forward from this cantankerous and fractious time towards a sense of unity and discovery of our oneness. And remember the motto of our country, E pluribus unum, out of the many, we are one. And now, if you will join me, it's my favorite part of the whole night. Ready? Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise and sung together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Yom. Shabbat Shalom.